Hey guys, it's Skybird, and today we're going to be taking a look at this build right here. This is my build for the working Pohatu Mystica or Fantoka claws. Really, the difference, honestly, is just the use of silver or dark gray, but honestly, you could use pretty much whatever colors you want, even bringing in a little bit of orange or his original brown and tan color scheme. So let's get right on into it. The first thing that I wanted to mention is I have a lot of admiration for LEGO's attempt at making claws that looked both aesthetically pleasing and that functioned as propellers in 2008, but I'm not a huge fan of the end result. I think that the weapon piece itself looks a little weird. It doesn't really feel like claws or propellers for that matter. With that said, this build here, you just have a plunging mechanism at the base that you can push in, or you can rotate the claws themselves manually, and that allows you to actually rotate them as propellers. It works out really well, and these are the pieces you're going to need. Of course, if you want to build a pair of these, then obviously you will have to double the pieces in front of you here. But that said, let's get right on into it. We're going to actually start with the turntable here, and we're going to use our gray friction pins here to attach to the gray side of the turntable. And I like to kind of have them at a little bit of a 45-degree angle. That's going to help us out later, but don't worry about it too much. Next up, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're actually going to set these pieces out, and we're going to use these friction pins and attach them, but don't push them all the way through just yet. We're going to actually attach them to the exact same side both times, and then we are going to attach those to the actual black side of the turntable. Go ahead and push those through, and this will actually give us those pins on opposite sides here. That will be important in a few moments, so let's go ahead and get into that. Next up, we're going to take our 4-long axle and this Technic connector here. Go ahead and put the axle in, and then we're going to use some bushings. Honestly, you can use whatever color you want. Also, one of my bushings is kind of broke, so it's, doesn't have a lot of friction. The other one has too much friction because it's a bootleg, so, just use what you got on hand. Light gray is not going to look bad here in any way, or you could, of course, go with tan bushings since those exist in LEGO. And then we're going to attach our 8-long axle to this here. We're going to then throw this right through this hole in the center here, and it's not attached to anything currently. That's not going to matter. That will come in handy later. But what we want to do is we actually want to attach these rubber bands to those bushings and to those friction pins. Now, because one of my bushings is a little bit loose, it is pushing the axle through, so it will be a little more difficult for me, but if you use good bushings, you'll probably be fine. That said, to get these little tiny rubber bands, honestly, the best thing I can recommend is just going to a general store and picking up a package of hair rubber bands. They come in multiple different sizes from small to large. They're black or other colors, and you can get, honestly, like hundreds of them for just a handful of dollars. So next up, we're going to go ahead and take our 2 3-length lift arms here, and we're going to plug these stopper axles right here in the ends of each. Now what we want to do is we actually want to go ahead and push this in, but not all the way, just so that it attaches to the actual body. Attach our lift arm to the axle that's still sticking out of the opposite side here, and do the same on both sides. Again, making sure we don't push these axles in all the way just yet. That will come in handy here in just a moment. So now we have this little assembly here, and we can just hold these two sides together, no big deal. Now we're going to take the axle side of this lift arm here and put it inside here and push the axle through. This will sort of act as little stoppers later. It's not going to be a huge deal if we have them in there, but they do help out with the functionality, just making sure that the rubber bands themselves can actually pull the mechanism back open. And that's most of the mechanism there pretty much solved. So now we're going to go ahead and take 2 of our friction pins, pin axles, and honestly, it's not really going to matter what color they are because you're really not going to see them too much. But we'll go ahead and attach our blade pieces. These come from the Pohatu Mystica set, and they're a fantastic piece for pinchers. Personally, I like them better for Pohatu, so getting them from Tahoe is a little bit strange. But now we're going to go ahead and throw this piece in here. Again, not all the way, because now we need our extender, our axle extender. There we go. This is also going to act as a bit of a stopper in the mechanism itself as well. So go ahead and push that all the way down in there. Take our 6-long axle and push that in from the other side. Lastly, attaching our other axle connector at the end here. So as you can see, currently this whole mechanism can move up and down. So we need some method of actually locking this turntable base to the body of the arm. So let's go ahead and flip this over, and we're going to take our friction pin axle here on this side and one of these lift arms. And we're actually just going to go ahead and attach this to the top here and this to the base. Now you might have to finagle with this a little bit, make sure everything kind of aligns, but once you get the first one in, it's much easier to do the second one. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the second, and on the bottom half of this one, we're going to go ahead and attach a through ball here, or a hollow ball joint, with another one of these brown stopper axles. I do prefer the brown one here in this case, just because if you use the version with the stud on top, that can just limit the amount of articulation, because this is actually where your upper arm is going to attach to the model. But honestly, that's most of everything. This last bit here is just to cover up the mechanism itself, and it just uses the slicer or Robo Rider head right here on the body. And so that's basically it. Now, the nice thing about this, as I mentioned before, is many of these pieces are available in other colors. So if you like Pohatu's 2008 color scheme, you can change this and the fuselage piece or arm piece out for orange if you want to. You can change this out for dark gray and maybe tan here if you'd like. You can add some more of his original color scheme in there as well. Many of these pieces are also available in reddish brown. So these connectors on the arms here, as well as this one at the base, are available in brown, and of course the piece at the bottom. But that's honestly the entirety of the build. So now you just push in, the rubber bands are going to pull the pinchers back open, and then you can just turn the propeller blades themselves manually. There are probably ways to get those to turn automatically, but I am not worried about that. And yes, you can still activate it, so if you want to look a little goofy, you can, but that gives you the ability to spin the propellers. And I guess you could also look at it as like maybe an ability to grab something precisely with the claws themselves, which would be kind of cool too. So that's honestly it. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because it does, of course, help the channel out a lot. And as always, my links for my Discord and Instagram will be in the description. Let me know in the comments if you guys prefer this format of video, or if you would rather have something with the instructions up in the corner here, because I can definitely make that work out. But for a build like this, I figured it'd be a little bit more streamlined to just kind of show you the process, and then I can make instructions available at a later time. So yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.